Welcome to the Podcast Lab, your go-to space for raw conversations, curious questions, and inspiring stories from around the world. Whether you're here to learn, laugh, or just listen in, this is where ideas take shape and voices come alive. Ready to dive into fresh perspectives and thought-provoking discussions? Let's get started. This is the Podcast Lab. Subscribe now and never miss an episode.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into a topic all about the power of small actions.
We're going to be exploring the world of tiny habits. And you know what?
Yeah.
It's amazing how these small, consistent actions can lead to really big changes.
Totally. It all starts with our brains, right? Like they're kind of hardwired for these routines.
Exactly. Think of it like, you're walking through a forest.
Right.
And every time you repeat an action, it's like you're carving a path through those trees. The more you walk that path, the easier it gets,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It becomes like a super highway of habit.
And sometimes I catch myself doing things like totally on autopilot.
Yeah.
Like grabbing my phone without even thinking about it.
That's your brain's reward system kicking in.
Is that what it is?
Every time we do something enjoyable, our brain releases dopamine, and that makes us want to just keep doing it over and over again.
So like those mindless scrolls through social media?
Exactly.
Those are actually like reinforcing a neural pathway.
They are.
Wow. Okay, so it's not about making these huge changes all at once.
Right.
It's about consistency.
It is.
So like how long does it actually take to form a new habit?
Well, you probably heard that it takes about 66 days.
Yeah, 66 days.
And there's actually research that backs that up. On average, that's how long it takes for a new behavior to become more automatic.
Okay, so that means we really need to be patient with ourselves, give ourselves time.
It's a process.
It's not about being perfect every single day.
Exactly. It's about showing up consistently and just creating that pathway in your brain.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we understand a little bit more about like the science behind habits, let's get practical.
Okay.
How do we actually make these things stick?
Great question. So one of the biggest mistakes people make is
Okay.
trying to change too much at once.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
They want to overhaul their whole life.
Right.
Instead of doing that, just focus on small, manageable steps.
So like instead of saying, I'm going to work out for an hour every day.
Yeah.
Just start with like 10 minutes.
Exactly. Baby steps.
Okay.
Because when you start small, it's less overwhelming
Yeah,
and you're more likely to stick with it.
I like that.
And then, once those 10 minutes feel easy, you can gradually increase it.
Yeah. So it's like tricking your brain into forming a new habit.
It is.
I like it. What else?
So another powerful tool is cues and rewards.
Okay.
Think about your brain's natural tendencies.
Right.
Say you want to start meditating every morning,
Okay.
but you're struggling to actually do it.
Yeah, been there.
Link it to something you already do consistently, like your morning coffee.
Makes sense.
So that coffee becomes your cue to meditate,
I like it.
turning your existing routine into a launch pad for your new habit.
Cool. And what about like tracking our progress? Does that actually help? I know I'm a big fan of checklists.
It does. Our brains love visual evidence of progress.
Really?
So whether you use a habit tracker app or you just mark it on a calendar, seeing those consistent wins, even if they're small, it boosts your motivation
Right.
and it reinforces that positive cycle.
Okay, but what about those days when we mess up?
Yeah.
Like what about when we miss a day? I know it's easy to fall into that all or nothing trap
It is.
and feel like, oh, I failed. I might as well just give up.
Well, remember, consistency is not about perfection.
Okay.
It's about getting back on track after you have a little setback.
Right.
Life happens.
Yeah.
You're going to miss a day or two.
Yeah, of course.
That's okay. Just avoid dwelling on it
Don't beat yourself up.
and just get back to your habit as soon as possible.
So it's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. Consistency over rigidity?
Yes.
That feels much better.
It is much more encouraging and sustainable in the long run.
It is.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so
So we've talked about starting small,
yeah,
using cues and rewards, and focusing on progress over perfection.
it's a good foundation
Yeah.
for building those tiny habits that can make a big impact on our lives.
It is. And in the next part, we're
All right.
gonna delve into and that can kind of ripple out to the rest of your day.
So it's like a mini victory.
It is.
Okay. So we've talked about writing and making the bed.
Right.
Are there any other examples?
Oh yeah, tons.
Okay.
Like if you're trying to eat healthier,
Uh-huh.
instead of changing your whole diet at once,
Yeah.
just add an extra serving of vegetables to your dinner each day.
Yeah.
Or if you're trying to be more productive,
Right.
just spend like 15 minutes every morning decluttering your workspace.
I like that.
Yeah.
Small little steps that
Exactly.
you can actually stick to.
And remember, it's not about being perfect.
Okay.
It's about making progress.
Right.
There will be days when you miss a day, you just don't feel like it.
Happens to all of us.
And that's totally fine.
Okay.
The key is to just gently guide yourself back on track.
Be kind to yourself.
Exactly.
So you said you have a favorite tiny habit.
I do.
What is it?
I take a few minutes every day just to sit in silence
Oh, wow.
and reflect.
Like meditate.
Kind of. It's just about being still and quiet.
No phone, no distractions.
Nope.
Wow, that sounds so peaceful.
It is.
When do you usually do that?
Right after I finish my coffee.
Okay.
So the coffee's my cue.
That makes sense.
And then the feeling of calm and clarity I get afterwards, that's my reward.
Okay, so you've basically created this like positive feedback loop in your brain.
Pretty much.
I like that. I might have to steal that one from you.
You should try it.
Okay, so it's not just about reaching some big goal.
Right.
It's also about just feeling good every day.
Exactly. It's about finding those small actions that make you feel good, energize you, and help you become the best version of yourself.
Yeah, those little moments of joy.
Yes.
Okay, so before we move on to the next section,
Okay.
I'm really curious to hear some stories
Oh, yeah, we've got some good ones.
about real people who have used these tiny habits
Yes.
to achieve some pretty amazing things.
Real people achieving extraordinary results.
Okay, let's hear it. All right, so we're back, and I'm ready for some inspiring stories.
Okay, so we've got this woman who always wanted to run a marathon,
Okay.
but she didn't really consider herself a runner.
Uh-huh.
So she decided to start by running just 1 mile each day.
1 mile. Okay, that seems pretty doable.
Right, it's a manageable goal.
Yeah.
So she could actually stick with it.
And did she?
She did. Every single day, rain or shine, she ran that 1 mile.
Wow, I bet this has a happy ending.
It does. Over time, that 1 mile turned into 2 miles, then 3 miles.
Uh-huh.
And eventually she was running long distances without even thinking about it.
That's awesome.
And a year later, guess what?
She ran the marathon?
She ran the marathon.
That's so cool.
It's amazing what you can achieve with consistency.
It is. Okay, what's our next story?
All right, so this one's about a busy entrepreneur who loved to read,
Okay.
but he could never find the time.
Oh, I feel that.
Right, we're all busy.
So busy.
So he decided to commit to reading just 2 pages of a book every day.
2 pages.
So that's it. Okay. He kept a book on his nightstand, and he would read those 2 pages before bed.
So simple, but I bet it worked.
It did. He ended up reading over 700 pages that year.
Wow.
Just from those 2 little pages each day.
That's amazing. Okay, last story. Hit me with it.
All right, so we've got this young guy who wanted to learn a new language,
Okay.
but he felt overwhelmed by all the grammar and vocabulary.
Yeah, learning a new language is tough.
It can be.
So what did he do?
He decided to learn just 1 new word every day.
1 word a day.
Okay. He used a language learning app,
Okay.
and he would practice saying the word, writing it down, and even using it in a sentence.
Wow. So he was really engaging with it.
Yeah, he wasn't just memorizing it.
That makes sense.
And within a year, he could hold basic conversations in the new language.
Wow. That's awesome. These stories are so inspiring.
They are.
It really shows you that you don't need to make these massive changes.
Right.
It's the small, consistent actions that really make a difference.
The tiny habits that compound over time.
Exactly. So before we wrap up,
Yeah.
any final thoughts for our listeners?
Just remember that you have the power to transform your life.
Okay.
1 small step at a time.
I love that. It's all about finding your 200 words.
Yes.
It's small, consistent action that can lead to something truly remarkable.
And remember, you don't have to do it all at once.
Right.
Just show up consistently and trust the process.
Okay. That's all for this deep dive, folks. Thanks for joining us.